Just in the past few hours, Secretary of State John Kerry called an attack against Syrian civilians a crime against humanity. Shortly after President Obama said he has made no final decision on Syria, but is considering a limited narrow act. Newscene reporter Bradley Oakes has the possible retaliation.
President Obama says Syrian President Bashar al-Assad is responsible for a chemical weapons attack on his own people. Obama promises accountability but says no decision has been made on how to respond.
He takes the requirement to make these decisions very seriously, and he's carefully considering the circumstances before him.
And while the White House says President Obama has not yet made a decision, preparations are already underway for a potential strike. U.S. military assets are in the eastern Mediterranean, ready to go whenever the president gives the order. Officials say it would be a limited attack, and the U.S. does not want to get involved in the Syrian civil war. The White House also said it's quickly laying out a case amid concern from Congress, which wants a role in the final decision.
Let Congress authorize this activity.
I'd like to have everybody in on this.
I definitely believe that there needs to be a vote.
In London, Prime Minister David Cameron argued for military action.
And that intelligence I've reported, that is enough to conclude that the regime is responsible and should be held accountable.
United Nations weapons inspectors are in Syria now collecting evidence. They're expected to leave with their own findings by this Saturday. Reporting for Newscene, Bradley Oakes.
President Obama also said today that any strike on Syria would be limited and no boots will be on the ground.
As the war with Syria looms, definitive proof of Assad's involvement is to be released today. Announced that a limited strike is being prepared and attacking alone is very possible. While the UN investigation is still ongoing, Secretary General Ban Ki-moon says the UN team needs more time to finish the investigation and is appealing for a peaceful solution to the conflict. Syria's UN ambassador Bashar Jafari has warned of grave consequences of a U.S.-led attack, and the U.S. Congress wrote President Obama asking him for their approval before acting. As the escalation of the conflict nears, we will be following this very closely. Tension in Syria has led the U.S. stock market to suffer their worst loss since June. Oil prices hit a 6-month high, $109 a barrel. Companies such as JCPenney and Tiffany's have also been affected with the crisis in Syria. Both businesses saw low volumes, losing millions of dollars in shares. Stocks in Japan and Europe have dropped as well.
The world's largest social network has revealed on Tuesday that 70 countries requested information during the first half of the year. Facebook received nearly 38,000 surveillance requests. Facebook, by law, had to comply to 79% of these requests. The U.S. was one of the biggest requesters, looking for information from up to 21,000 users. Now, the East Lake Little League All-Stars return home, and the Chargers take on the 49ers. Omar Alatorre has more.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Marilena. Yep, but first, for your City sports fan, the City Night girls soccer team is getting ready for the 2013 season. Coach Andy Milburn and returning player Alexander Conwell tells us what to expect for this coming season.
We were young last year. We only had, I think, 4 returning players, but we had a lot of really quality girls that came in. It took us a long time to play together as a team, so we lost a lot of games that we should have won just based on inexperience. We were hoping to return a lot of our players from last year's team. We had some girls that had to move out of the area, some girls that were ineligible, so we ended up once again with only 4 returners. So we're kind of in the same boat as we were last year, but I feel like the recruits that we have that came in are actually a little bit stronger than we were last year. The unfortunate thing is we only have 15 players, so if we succumb to injuries, we're probably going to be in a little bit of a rough situation.
Our goal for this season is to try to make it to the playoffs, and it hasn't ever happened, so hopefully we'll keep that this year.
Best of luck for the Lady Nats soccer team as they start league next week. In NFL news, it looks like more problems for ex-New England Patriot Aaron Hernandez. The former football star is now being accused for abusing PCP, according to Rolling Stone magazine. The article investigated Hernandez's troubled past, claims that he surrounded himself with criminals and was, quote, paranoid that he carried a loaded gun on him at all times. Rolling Stone also says that the University of Florida and the head coach Urban Meyer were involved in many cover-ups crimes that Hernandez committed while attending school. Hernandez was indicted last week on murder charges stemming from shooting death of Odin Lloyd in June. Last night, the San Diego Chargers and the San Francisco 49ers faced off. Let's say it wasn't a happy one for the Bolts as they were blown away, losing 41-6. Third quarter, Chargers down 17-6 as Brad Sorensen fakes and throws over the middle and picked off by 49ers Greg Dahl. Later in the third, Chargers getting ready to pump, but is blocked by 49ers Cam Johnson and dives into the end zone and takes the lead 27-6 as trouble for the Chargers All-Pro punter Cyphers leaves the field limping. But the play of the day, 1st and 10, B.J. Daniels to LaVille Hawkins makes an outstanding catch for a 40-yard run into the end zone. Kid Jim Harbaugh reaction, he's loving it. Later in the fourth, Daniels showing some athleticism as he makes a 40-yard run. But don't worry, Charger fans. It's only the preseason game, and hopefully things will change around for the regular season. Last night, the Chula Vista East Lake Little League team won the U.S. Championship and finished second to Japan in the international final. However, down here at the Sleep Chain Amphitheater for their celebratory return, you will think they've won it all. Special guests included Tony Gwynn, Chula Vista Mayor Cheryl Cox, and the third-place team from Tijuana. East Lake honored our neighbors to the south by inviting them up on stage to share in the glory they both very much deserve. Gwynn's surprise appearance ignited the crowd and brought inspiring words to our Chula Vista superstars as well to the Tijuana team. Congratulations to the East Lake All-Stars on winning the U.S. Championship game and also for Tijuana. So that does it all, and I like to see the Tijuana team and the Chula Vista team face off.
Yeah, it's great to see them get welcomed back like that.
Yeah.
So. Now, California prison population, more on Governor Jerry Brown's plans later in the show.
Wednesday marked the 50th anniversary of Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. People from all around the country came out to celebrate.